Hey guys, this is Common Denominator back. I wanted to talk to you about a special phenomenon. I think a lot of black people go through this. I know at one point, actually, yeah, with me too, this was something that I went through, and I'm gonna give you the story of a guy named Toni. He's on Catfish season 6, episode 11. I'm gonna have a picture of him up here. He's a black guy, and he decided he was gonna catfish this what appears to be a white girl. What he did was, so they're interviewing him on the show. And it's so interesting what he said. He said the reason why he prefers Caucasian women is because he feels like other women judge him or for who he is and place expectations on him as to who they think he should be. Now this is deep. Let me go deep. When we did the black male toxicity series, I think we did 1 and 2. Did one called "What About Dante," and the first one, black male toxicity. This is a phenomenon and then also in the black vortex. The black vortex is important because it also discusses this strange phenomena. And I think there are a lot of theories out there surrounding this, and I want to kind of tackle a few of these theories. One is in reference to black women when they interracially date, and one is in reference to black men. All right, so it's no mystery that the black guys who are street, the black guys who are somewhat thug, the black guys who are thugs, they all do better when it comes to dating, any race really, than the black guy who is into sci-fi, such as Toni, or the black guy who's into computers or video or gaming, not your NBA Jam and Madden. Those are the thugs. The thugs are into that. But the black guy who is the nerd, he is the underperformer. He's the quote unquote undesirable black male amongst black women. And usually it doesn't even matter how handsome the guy is. Doesn't matter how much money he has. A lot of black women just don't find him appealing. They just don't like that type of black guy. And a lot of other women too don't find that kind of guy appealing. Well, a lot of women frankly don't find those men attractive in their groups, period. But this guy Toni, he's just a regular guy. He's not he's not your cool guy. He's not super skinny. He's not ugly. At the same time, he dresses a little bit preppy, as you can see here in the video. But that's okay. I mean, a lot of black guys dress preppy. Kind of depends where you live. I'm not sure where he lives, but he wants to live in Washington. I've never been to Washington. I don't know what it's like up there, but he likes the culture. But more importantly, he finds comfort in the fact that he's accepted by white women, despite the fact that he's not fitting the stereotype. Now I'm going to put the link to this Catfish series It's a video up on YouTube, and it's at the 18-minute mark. It starts. You can listen to it for yourself. It takes about 3 minutes, and it's interesting because it made me think about myself. I'm definitely not street. I'm not the nerd. I'm not the geek. I'm not into. I mean, I am into sci-fi, but I'm not like deep into it to where I'm wearing T-shirts and and doing that kind of thing. But I do like sci-fi. I do like. I don't play video games. I don't have a gaming system. Never owned one. I've owned one video game in my life, and it was a computer game. And my computer was too slow to play the game. I bought the game, but my computer was too slow, and I never even got to play the game. And it was a military game. It was like a game where you shoot and kill the bad guys. You have missions. I'm into wrestling, kickboxing, watching the UFC. I like guns. I'm not afraid. I used to love law enforcement. Not anymore. I used to love the idea of the military. I'm not really into that anymore. But I'm not street. I'm not thug. I actually hate these people. I think they're disgusting. But there are a lot of black women out there that I find very, very attractive who, because I don't fit that stereotype, and I know what's going on, because I don't fit the stereotype, I couldn't talk to them. I can't. I'm not their type. There are a lot of black women out there who, for one reason or the other, just prefer those type of guys. I got muscles. I work out. I'm strong. I'm pretty strong. I've been in weightlifting competitions. I've actually fought in the ring before, in real fights, real kickboxing fights. I consider myself very, very manly. And for those people who know me, I'm very into martial arts. I'm not the type to back down and cower away. I will protect myself. I will protect my woman. But I'm not the thug. But I can stand up for myself. I can take the thug on, if you know what I'm saying. I'm like the Daniel Cormier of the UFC, light heavyweight champion. He's not a thug. He's intelligent. He's well-spoken. And he can kick your ass. I mean, that's just who he is. He's one of the best fighters in the world. He's been to college. He's got kids. He's got a family. He doesn't have a bunch of baby mamas out there running around. The same with John Jones. He's not the thug. He's not street. But he's got a little bit of a bad boy edge to him, but he's one of the best fighters in the world. So I'm like one of those guys. I'm not afraid of the thug. I'm not afraid. But at the same time, I speak the way I speak because my parents raised me to speak like this. They taught me the importance of speaking English well, and sounding educated, and sounding smart, and respecting myself as a black man. And like I was saying, there are a lot of black women out there, a lot of beautiful black women that, I dreamt about dating, and I can only dream about dating them. Not many black women are into guys like myself. I've dated a couple black women. I had a couple black girlfriends. There are a few. I mean, I would say it's probably easier for me. I don't know. I don't know if would be easier in California. I think it might be. I snowboard. I do things that typical, black guys don't do. Most black guys play basketball. I don't play basketball anymore. I mean, just last time I played was I actually played probably earlier this year, but I wasn't playing any games. I was just shooting around. But I stay away from the stereotypical stuff, the stereotypical sports. At one point, I used to make beats, hip hop beats. I guess that could make me, but that's just a love for the art of making beats. It doesn't mean I loved the ghetto or ghetto things. I hated that, but I appreciated the art of rap and the beats. All right, so let me talk about black women for a second. I think I have had some black women who were listeners comment on my channel talking about how they were, that they were ostracized by the group. They weren't considered black enough, or they were told they spoke a certain way. And and it's because you're not raised in the ghetto. It's because your parents were able to do better and raise you outside of the ghetto. Why they turned out this way. Look at any of these rich black rapper kids. Look at a lot of them who were raised outside of the ghetto. Look at how they act. They're not like their parents. They're not like their fathers. Listen to how they speak. They went to the private schools. Okay? They did all of that. Listen to how they speak. They sound completely different from their parents. They're not street. It's because they weren't raised like that. I wasn't raised like that. At the same time, my dad emphasized fighting. He taught me how to fight. My dad was very much into guns. He got me into guns too. So there was manliness with it. There was manliness, there was toughness, but at the same time, there was respect for women, respect for authority, respect for the law, and just in general, just a respectful demeanor. That's how we were taught. And black women, a lot of black women who come from the inner city, and a lot of black women who don't necessarily come from the inner city, who may have been raised in the suburbs, they still acquiesce. So they still kind of bow down to the inner city culture, the urban culture, because it's popular, because it's the dominant black culture. There really is no other dominant black culture. The black people who are well-spoken and educated, you may see them on CNN or on the news here and there. They are on the periphery. They're on the outside. Our culture is inverted. The street culture is dominant, and the nerd culture and everything else is on the outside, and it's criticized by the street culture. Of course it would be, because the street culture values selling drugs, hustling, stripping, being a thought, being a dancer, twerking. This is what they value. Starting a record company, just typical nonsense that you see out of black Americans. So, back to black women. I think, from what I've heard, there are a lot of black women who also face this, and these same black women, they may have trouble. I don't know, maybe dating some black guys. I don't know. I don't know if black guys are really. I don't think black men are that. I don't think black men require black women to be street or urban. I don't think the rules are the same for black women. Black women are allowed to be feminine and pretty and well-spoken. That's okay, but they're expected to date the athlete, the thug, the bad boy. That's kind of the image. That's what you get. That's what you gather from the media. That's the image that's given off. So here you have a situation where these black people feel like they're not accepted within the black community. So what do? They date outside where they feel they'll be accepted. I got to be honest, I did the same thing. I couldn't find a black woman. No, I did actually, but we broke up. But it was tough finding a beautiful black woman who came from a great family, who wasn't interested in thugs. I dated a black Canadian girl at one point. She was all about it. She was cool, because I don't think they have that same culture in Canada. I dated a black girl here in California who had great parents, came from a great family, kind of a wealthy family. She wanted nothing to do with thugs. She thought it was repulsive. I've dated a couple girls like this, but it's rare, and I think it's in pockets, and it may not be in every state. You may not find a lot of these black women around. At the very least, you're going to find that black women would require a black guy to kind of have somewhat of a hard exterior, a kind of a thug-like exterior. He's got to kind of be a little bit street, just a little bit. They like that. They like that. We have to be honest. They have to be honest with us when they talk to us. This is what they like. A lot of black guys know this. He's got to play basketball. He's got to dress like the other guys. She may not want him to be a jailbird, but she's going to want him to act at least a little bit thug, a little bit gangster, but not really be that way, but kind of put on that front, that act. Okay? She's going to expect that. She's more attracted to that. This is what a lot of black men gather from black women. This is what we can see. We have, this is what the energy that they're giving off. And sometimes they say it. They'll tell you. You could just go on YouTube and type it in. I mean, it's everywhere. So, so I don't think black women per se have this issue, but it's definitely black men. And I think as a result of that, this may be one of the number one reasons. Well, this is not, let me not say number one, but this is definitely a reason, because here it's happening in the video, and I can relate. And I know there's other black guys out there who also can relate, but I can relate to this guy. But it's not going to make me date white women, but I can definitely relate to him. I see what he's saying. He's not saying he's necessarily against black women. He's just saying he doesn't want to be that stereotype because his parents raised him right. He left that part out. He wasn't raised in the hood. And if he was, he had good parents that were able to counter the influence of the hood, the negative influence. Kept him out of the gangs, kept him off the streets, kept him in the books. Okay? Now, obviously, he catfished her. He wasn't being honest, but he's got some self-esteem issues because of rejection. People telling him, he's not good enough because this is how he's into this. He's not into that. So he's got some issues. He's not a perfect person, but he's definitely not honest. But at the same time, the point that I'm making is he felt rejected. He felt as if he were not within the right. He was not accepted by women, and he didn't want to bother acting. He wanted to be himself, and he felt more accepted by women on the outside. Let me know if you can see this point. If you're a black male and this has happened to you, I want to read your comments below. Go ahead and comment below. Now, I've heard something about, and I think there are a lot of valid theories out there. I've heard different theories that all kind of make sense, but I don't want to discount this one theory. I think black women are too facing this pressure from the black vortex. The black vortex, if you're new to this channel, go check out my videos on the black vortex. Just scroll down, check out the black vortex series. What it is it's the pressures, the internal pressures within black society to conform to the streets, to the ghetto, to the rules of the street. Okay? That's the black vortex. It's that pressure that black people feel to be a certain way. And when they're not a certain way, they get labeled as white. They get labeled as all sorts of things. But that same group who labels, they don't like to be labeled. If you call them ghetto pieces of trash, they'll be very angry at that. As they should be, because, who wants to be a ghetto piece of trash? But the fact that they're ghetto, they'll accept that, but then they try to reject it in some ways. But anyway, enough about them. So I feel like some black women also who were not raised in the streets, who are raised in the suburbs, they may also feel pressure to be a certain way, to talk a certain way. And when they don't, and when they're not accepted maybe by black guys because of the way they dress or the way they talk, maybe the black guy doesn't like them, who knows? Maybe they don't feel comfortable with the black guys who are out there, then they date outside their race. Or when they get with men, or maybe there's a group of black women who actually pretend to be like the Shaniquas and the Quantrillas. Okay? Maybe they pretend or go along to get along because they feel the pressure, and they've bowed down to the pressure of the black vortex. And once they find their way out of the community, they find their way into in a relationship with a non-black man, then they feel free to be themselves. And then these black guys who critique these black women who interracially date, maybe what they're seeing is these black women just being themselves, and they no longer feel the pressure to conform to the black vortex. They no longer feel the pressure to conform to the ghetto, and they're just being themselves. This is who they always were. And they're just being themselves, and that's it. That's it. Okay, so anyway, guys, let me know what you think. That's all I got on this topic. I don't even have a title for this. I'll find a title. I'll put a title in the subject line. But let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Common denominator. I'm out. Peace.